speaker today. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Bill. We may have a little bit of confusion with the speaker today. I think he was expecting to meet us over at the coffee house, John Coker. So I did send him the hot link to Zoom. Hope he can join us, but if he can't join us, that's the reason. He was thinking we were going to meet at the coffee house.
Yeah, I talked to him, Chuck. He's not coming,
Okay, all right.
but he'll be
Okay,
later.
go ahead. All right, just to let everyone know, Mike Washta called me after last week's meeting, and it's both good news and bad news type thing. He has sold his house. He put it on the market and it sold almost right away. So he's originally from the Millsboro, Delaware area, and he and his wife have decided they're missing their family. So his children, his grandchildren, and a lot of his extended family are up in the Millsboro area. So he regrets to say that he's going to be moving back up there. The house did sell, but he's going to be renting it back from the people who just bought it until they have the time to get up to Millsboro and find a house to buy up there. So he's expecting probably sometime after the first of the year that he'll be relocating up to the Millsboro area and leaving our club. So best wishes, and I'm happy he's going to be close to his family, but at the same time, we all hate to see him go. So if you get a chance to talk to Mike, congratulate him, wish him well, and give him best wishes with meeting back up with his family members. Please go ahead and continue to send Reggie any suggestions you have for speakers.
Chuck, you got to start the meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you're right, Bill. Okay. Rotary motto, Bill. Bring it up. Okay, Rotary motto. Service above self. And let's go ahead and stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. And everyone, let's observe a moment of silence for all the things going on in the world, hoping things continue to get better. Let's have that moment of silence. Okay, thank you, Bill. All right. Getting back on my agenda, I should have had that in front of me to begin with. Paul, I'm going to let you go ahead and give us your COVID update. I know you're sort of cautiously optimistic, but you still need to give us a heads up.
Right. It's kind of a mixed bag this week as far as the numbers are concerned. I'd say a majority of the locations are slightly better than they were last week as far as numbers of new cases. Virginia as a whole has gone up, but only very slightly. The number of cases per 100,000 people was 278 last week, and this week it's 280. Of the places that are increasing still, the rate of increase is very small, and otherwise it looks kind of like we might be coming to the top of that curve that you see in every surge. As far as Virginia Beach and both counties on the Eastern Shore are concerned, they're a little lower in terms of number of new cases per week than they were the previous week. Now, those numbers are still very high, so the risk out there is still high. But I'm only saying that we might be seeing a glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel in terms of this surge. Now, we've been fooled before. We thought early in the summer that this thing was coming to an end. And then we saw the Delta variant cause another surge, and that certainly may well happen again. There's a good chance that this is not the last surge we're going to see. And another word of caution, Cape Charles itself had 11 new cases this past week, which is the most we've had since mid-January. But last week it was 9, the week before that was 10. So you could say that we're almost level in Cape Charles over the last few weeks. And in the county, the cases are a little lower and as they were in Accomack County and Virginia Beach. So, continue being very, very cautious. The risk is still high. But there may be a sign that things are going to turn for the better. And we also see that in many places in the United States as a whole.
As far as death counts, is that still way low, or are we seeing that kind of inching up? Or?
Well, we did have in Accomack County the previous week, 7 people died.
Wow.
This past week, only 1. Virginia Beach, 13 people died the previous week, and this past week, 8. So, the death rate usually lags behind 2 or 3 weeks the new case rate, and that's what we're seeing. So, we would expect that to start turning as the surge maybe starts on its downward path.
I think we're starting to hear a little bit about they expect vaccines to be ready for 5 to 11-year-olds sometime late fall, early winter, before the end of the year. Just your gut,
winter.
yeah,
Right.
Just your gut feeling on it. Do you think parents are going to be hesitant to get their kids vaccinated? It's sort of like, you go first and tell me how it works out and we'll go later. Do you see that happening?
Well, I think the parents that were eager to get vaccinated are going to be eager to have their kids vaccinated.
Okay.
And those that are resistant are not going to let the kids be vaccinated. So it's going to be a mixed bag.
Okay. Well,
have you seen anything on an additional variant?
There's always talk about new variants. There's a mu variant and a lambda variant, but all indications are that our current vaccination covers those. Yeah. We haven't seen a variant yet that we don't think the vaccination covers. But it almost seems inevitable that'll happen down the road because there's a tremendous reservoir of unvaccinated people in the world.
Yeah.
Do you or Mark know what the vaccination level is now in Northampton and Accomack County? Are we at 80% vaccinated? Or do we know?
I can't tell you off the top of my head. That data is available on the website.
Mark, do you know?
Last I knew, we were in the 70s as far as people that have been around 70, the people who are fully vaccinated, and higher than that of people who got at least 1 shot. Mark, do you know more?
No, I'd say about the same as what you said.
Okay, because I know our county is more of an older county. There's less kids. So I would hope that since the vaccine has been available for adults, that we were stepping up to the plate and getting it done. It sounds like we were. Probably a lot of that 30% are the kids that were waiting for the vaccine.
I know our county was better than Virginia as a whole on average, and significantly better than Accomack County or Virginia Beach.
Yeah. All right. Well, continue to talk to people that are not vaccinated yet. Try not to be antagonistic and naming and shaming, and just sit down and make some sense to them. the reasons why to get vaccinated without throwing in some blaming and shaming. I know that's hard to do. It's hard to figure out why, I got two choices. I can either get the needle or I can get COVID. I'd rather get the needle. So talk with respect to people, and let's try and talk them into getting the vaccination. Okay. Anybody have any questions for Paul or Mark on COVID? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Paul. All right, while we're on that subject, from the people that are here right now, who wants to have the next meeting at the coffee house? Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we got a total of 12, 17 people. So 6 out of 17 raised their hand, said yes. David, I'm assuming you'd rather not, right?
He's muted.
He's on
That's
mute.
right. I'm not, I don't think I'm comfortable going indoors in
Okay.
a small space like that, even with
Uh,
everybody wearing masks and being vaccinated. No,
All right,
I'm not.
Chuck, I'm about a halfway yes vote on that, really. I mean, if the club voted to do it and enough people were to show up to make it worthwhile to pay for our lunch, I think I would come. I might wear my mask, but I'm really at heart not in favor of it just yet. I want to wait until Paul thinks it's good myself, honestly.
I feel exactly the same way. Up until tomorrow, I'm a definite no, because I have an 8-month-old child here in my house, and I'd rather not chance it. But starting next week, I'm a little more open to it, but I'm like you, Bill. I'm still kind of hesitant. Bob Church, what do you think? Would you be okay with an in-person meeting, or would you prefer to stay with the Zoom for now?
I'm with the majority. Whatever the majority want to do, I'm doing.
Okay, well, we had 5 people raise their hand and say they were okay, and right now I'm seeing 15 people on here. So 1/3 say yes, 2/3 say no. So we'll go one more week, and we'll just take this 1 week at a time, and we'll take a vote and see where people are comfortable with. Meantime, Bill and I will get together at some point and we'll work on this hybrid meeting thing. And David pointed us to the magazine article that gives us some pointers of how to set that up. We'll start working on that. In the meantime, I'm a little bit busy with family, and I got some personal things going on. So I'm going to be at the meetings, but I'm going to be out of touch for parts of the week, and be up in Baltimore and Northern Virginia and up around that area. So I'm going to be kind of busy, but I'll be checking emails and so forth. And as far as I know, I should be making all the meetings. Projects. Anything to report, Bob, while we got you off of mute on the fire hydrants?
I just talked to the mayor of Eastfield yesterday, and he said that the fire chief is out of town for 2 days, but I told him the difficulties I was having in getting some sort of movement on that, and he told me that he would talk to the fire chief when he comes back in town and try to get some movement on it.
Okay.
So that's where we are.
All right. And the Mary Ann Smith School, where we at with that, Bill? Bill Payne.
Yeah, it's coming along real good. In fact, the Boys and Girls Club headquarters over in Virginia Beach, they're even kicking in more money to improve on things that are more cosmetic as opposed to fire and safety codes. But we have the certificate of occupancy from the county of Accomack, and the Boys and Girls Club is preparing to move in. So that's been a tremendous success.
Wow,
But what we have to do between now and the end of the period is there's always work up there. We've got to put a work team together and go up and see what we can do to help them out, because there's always work.
Yeah.
And so we can fulfill our sweat equity portion of the grant.
Sounds good. All right, and Mehdi, you want to give us an update on the basket raffles?
Well, I have not had any current communication from the Eastern Shore Public Library, but the last communication I had with them was that tickets will go on sale beginning tomorrow at the sites at the book bin in Only, and then all the 4 libraries, and also on the website.
Okay. All right, while we got you, how about the hidden history thing here?
Yeah, we are finishing the technology resolution in order for the interviews to begin. And I suppose we can begin scheduling interviews sometime next week.
Okay,
And we're excited about that because then we can bring in the information.
sounds good. And John Burtis, anything on the YMCA? You're on mute, John.
I was late getting to the board meeting this morning to talk about that as far as some funding, but we're going to hopefully start this week with our final efforts to get funding to finish our promise there among members and among merchants and among other people in our list. So that's where we are. But the Y itself is doing well.
Okay, I know I go by there, it doesn't seem to be a lot of cars in the parking lot at any one time.
Well, it's only open Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, half a day. And if you were a charter member, which many of us were, they have a wonderful feature where you can go in 24 hours a day. So a lot of people, you know, we tend to go, partly because it suits our schedule, frankly, you just see the schedule in mind on days when it's not open. You know, there's still people there, but yeah, I've never seen it crowded, Chuck, but as to members, I think I reported this before, they have 300 plus family units, they call it. And I think they estimate that represents 600 to 700 people.
Wow.
So they're happy with that. I mean, obviously, there was a lot of speculation in the beginning. You know, would there be active and financial support from people that use it? Well, they are doing that. We still have some capital funding to raise, but that aside, you know, it's going better than expected.
Okay, good, good. See, all right, the caboose project, we're hoping to get started when the weather starts to cool down. I know Bill Murphy's got a lot going on, and we have Walter, part of the team too, but he's out of town. So this is probably going to leak over into October before we can get something started on it. And the first thing is to get that roof done. We're going to be power washing it, not sandblasting it, and knocking off all the loose paint and get the debris off the top. And then right after we get the roof cleaned off, we'll be able to go ahead and lay down a quick primer and then get a coat of paint on it. Hopefully get that done before the cold weather sets in and get that roof stabilized. If we can get a little bit done on the sides before the end of the year, we'll try and do that. But it's looking like we'll get the roof this year. And when the weather starts getting a little nice by the end of February or early March of next year, we can go gangbusters on the sides and the ends. Bill, Bill Murphy, you want to add anything on that?
No, Chuck, I think you covered it pretty well. It's just been kind of tough to get going with the hot weather and everything. And then we still had to decide on the approach we were going to take. But I think you laid it out pretty well. So as soon as we can get some dates and get several people to help, that would be great.
Okay. And we'll look for volunteers from the club when we start rolling. I mean, if you can make it one day, hey, that helps. If you can make it a couple days a week, even better. But, you know, if you can spare a few hours, we can find things to do for you. That's for sure. We talked about membership in the board of directors meeting, and we're looking for everybody to kind of pitch in and help. Talk to your friends and neighbors. We talked about earlier, we were talking about the area sort of seeing a building boom down here, and some more people are moving down here. And if you find you got some new neighbors, younger or older, talk to them a little bit. And we were throwing around the idea of possibly once every other month or so, setting up a little booth for a couple of hours over in Strawberry Plaza and handing out some literature about the Rotary Club, just to kind of get the word out there. And Bill Payne brought up, we may even consider advertising in the Eastern Shore Post, that, hey, basically, hey, we're here, we'd love to have you come visit us and, think about becoming a member. And obviously, it's going to help once we get back to face-to-face meetings, and hopefully that's going to be soon. We're looking for an awards committee chairperson and a person to volunteer to do the scheduling for highway cleanups. And if you think you can help us out on that, please, by all means, raise your hand and let us know. We can definitely use some help in those areas. And call your buddies, call your neighbors, your friends. And I know we have several volunteers, couple that I can think of that were former members of the Rotary Club some years ago. And they've come out and said, hey, I'd like to help you out with that. We have one person on a caboose, Larry, who was a former Rotarian, but he's very much wanting to help us on the caboose, but not necessarily join the club. Who knows? Maybe he'll come back into the club once we get rolling on that. And Bill Payne has a neighbor that helped us on a project up in Nancock. He was a former member, and he looks for things to do too on a volunteer basis, but right now doesn't want to have to join the club, but who knows? We get him involved again. So any way we can think of to get a little help from the outside of the club, that's fine too. We can always use some help. With that said, does anybody want to bring up anything else that's on your mind about anything? Stan, good to see you, by the way. All right. And so I know Stan's the head of the committee chairman. So Stan, we're going to try and get people throwing ideas around and getting in touch with you. And like I say, we talked a little earlier about maybe setting up a booth over at Strawberry Plaza, maybe once every other month, and just handing out literature. Okay. Bill, guess what time it is? Happy dollars time. I'm going to kick it off with $10. And my daughter, my great granddaughter, they're going to be heading back to Chicago first thing tomorrow morning. But got to tell you, I really had a good time with my great granddaughter. And she's a little out of sorts. She's missing her mom and dad. So she's going to be back with them tomorrow. And we had a great time. We went up to Chincoteague. They were over in Virginia Beach yesterday. And so we got her around the Eastern Shore. We're getting her to know it. She's standing up. She takes a few steps here and there. But this time next year when they come down, she'll be talking and have a few new teeth to show me. And we're going to do some of these nature trail walks. I'm already planning out next year. So really enjoyed having them here. I'm going to miss them when they leave tomorrow. But so great time. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, hey, I got two different happy dollar announcements. $10 because my 10th grandchild was born on Sunday.
Wow.
Down in Asheville, North Carolina. And so, wow, 7 pounds, 9 ounces, incredible.
Big baby.
And named after my father. So I'm really a boy. I'm really proud of them, and they've done a wonderful job. Then also this past 7 days, my whole days have been totally devoted to taking care of an 8-year-old grandson, Corey Morgan. And he just turned 8 years old, and he's autistic, and he has an incredible intellect. I mean, he's smart as can be, and he rides a bike like the wind. He's so coordinated. He could be a great athlete, I think, but you can't communicate with him very well. I mean, it's really a challenge to communicate. But what a joy this has been, I have to say. The 24/7 care with him has given me a new perspective on looking at his condition, at his disability here, or his special condition, I might call it. You know, who knows how really to describe these things, but I have wonderful hopes and dreams for this boy. And what a blessing it's been. So another $10 for him, for taking care of him. It's exhausted me. It's, you know, it just hasn't been really time to think about anything else. And I've had to maintain my business during it. It's like, oh my gosh, you know. So anyway, I thought I'd express this. I can only be joyful about it, guys. Okay, thank you.
That's a great story. I know where I work for Innova Health System, we had people that had Down syndrome as well as autistic people, younger people, but they worked at the hospitals. They did like some food services work and some janitorial work. Wonderful people. I mean, they are just the nicest people. You know, people with these challenges in life. But I used to run into them all the time in the hospital. They come up, say hi and everything else. But yeah, congratulations, Granddad.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Bill Payne.
I'm gonna have to step it down to $5, David. But this is Jackie's second week back home, and we haven't called the Cape Charles Police Department yet.
But they're on speed dial.
But Jackie says they're on speed dial.
Well, when you call, what do they say? Oh, is it you again, Bill? Okay, any other happy duck? Bill Murphy.
Yeah, I've got 5 happy dollars, Chuck. Honestly, I wasn't going to have any happy dollars this week because this past week we had a death in the family. A very close cousin of mine that I sort of grew up playing sports and things with all my life, and he was 3 years younger than me. He passed away last week. It's very, very tragic and very unexpected. But sitting here this morning, listening to David talk about all his grandchildren and the experience and the time he's had with the 8-year-old, it really makes me smile. So I've got $5 in honor of David being such a great person and a wonderful granddad. So made me feel good to hear that.
Yeah. Well, I know Jackie had her hand up. I'll get to you in a second. Before I forget it, let me throw in on top of that. I mentioned it a little earlier, a good friend of mine from my early teen years. He was a drummer in a band I played in, and that was over 50 years ago. So that was from the mid 60s up to about 1970, we played together. Besides being in a band together, we were real good, close friends, and he passed away last week. So I'm going to be up in Baltimore. His younger brother is going to have a memorial service, and a bunch of his friends and family are all getting together. So they called me to invite me up. So it's terrible to lose friends, that's for sure. I had a lot of good memories from back then, but let me throw $5 more on top for that, Paul. Jackie. You're on mute.
Okay. No, okay, go.
Okay, all right. I have $5 for my grandson,
Oh,
whom I spent 2 months with.
that's
I'm
me.
so glad to be home.
Okay.
It was an interesting challenge, and his mother just sent me a video of a football game. She's an assistant principal, and they are required to attend the football games. So he was away from her down on the field, and it was halftime. And they were playing music that he liked. So he's just dancing around and having himself a great time. And then the music just hit him. And he just went crazy. And then the last thing he did was to jump up and do a split. And then he got up and he walked around the field like this. He walked over to the section where the students were sitting and they were screaming, MVP, MVP. And he went up to shake hands and the kids started giving him money. So he earned $39 doing it.
Wow. Well, he needs to be a professional hip hop dancer or something.
Yeah, he loved it. So, I mean, he knows one song in Hamilton from top to bottom, where
You know,
Hamilton is doing a lot of rapping. But-
When I see these kids dance today, it makes me hurt all over.
Yeah, that's it.
Go ahead, Bill Murphy.
How much, Jackie?
$5.
Bye.
Yeah, Chuck, I originally, in talking my first $5 about grandparents, I was going to mention you and Dave first. And I was looking at Dave when I started talking and I neglected to mention you and your grandchildren and great grandchildren. So since I left it out, I'll kick in another 5 for that.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, John.
Okay, 2 quick ones. The remind everybody, I've got $5 for the Krabby Blues event, which is this Saturday, which is always a good time, good weather. So try to turn out. It's a big fundraiser for the Christian school. And I have $5 because I haven't seen Jackie in person, and I've seen her now for a long time. But I will remind the club and Jackie and Bill, if there's a scuffle in their house, it goes before Judge Burge, okay? And depending, if it were Judge Burgess, Jackie would be in trouble. If it's Judge Burge, I think Bill will be in trouble. So just so you'll know, okay? She gets all domestic matters. If they call, that's where you go. Just be aware.
I have to apologize. My great granddaughter is shouting out a little bit here.
Sorry.
Any more happy dollars? Go ahead, Al.
Okay, since we're on a grandchild theme, one of my 3 grandchildren just turned 3 yesterday, and we had 4 generations of Pascals in one place at one time, and it was a great party. My daughter flew in from California, so this is a $20 happy dollars day.
Yes. All right. Do we have any more happy dollars? Go ahead, Paul. You're on mute.
Okay, all this talk about grandchildren, I'm gonna have to put in my own happy dollars. So I've got, and these have to do with our granddaughter Josie. The two $5 donations. First, Josie, after being with us for a year and 8 months, went back to her mother on the Monday of Labor Day weekend. We had, the first couple of days of her being gone were very sad and everything. Of course, we reminded her of her, and there were tears shed even, because we really missed her so bad. But we had her back this very next weekend, this past weekend. We had envisioned that, after 3 or 4 days with her mom, she, after living with us for a year and 8 months, that she would miss us so bad that she would just beg to be coming back. But actually, I'm glad to say that didn't happen. And she was delighted to come back and visit us, but she was very happy and expressed great happiness at being with her mom and her boyfriend, who her mom lives with. And she apparently had a great time being there, started a new daycare situation over in Virginia Beach that she is very, very happy with. So she came back seeming to be a very happy, well-adjusted child who's very flexible. Also, the second $5 is because we took her swimming, and I've been trying to teach her to swim this summer. We gave her swimming lessons at the Y. And finally, for the first time ever, she swam independently without floaties. So my goal of having her learn to swim by the end of the summer was achieved.
That's excellent. Yeah, we
Al is really happy about that. He probably wants to throw in another couple of dollars.
You know what? Go ahead, make it 5 more, because I'm always excited to see a new swimmer, a potential Olympian.
yeah, Al needs some competition from around here. Yeah, we took my great granddaughter up to the beach yesterday. It was a bad move. It was real windy. I think some sand blew in her eyes, so she wasn't a real happy camper yesterday. So we had to quickly pack up and bring her back home. Next year she'll be a little more used to it. She's still in that rubbing her eyes thing, so she plays in the sand and rubs her eyes and probably got some sand in her eyes. Okay, any other happy dollars? All right. Okay, well, unfortunately, we had a little bit of a mess up on the speaker today, and we'll get John Coker rescheduled to show up at one of our coffee house meetings. And all right, anything else for the good of Rotary? If not, let's talk about the things we think, do, and say. The 4-way test. Number 1, is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Is it fair to all concerned? Number
Will it
3, will it build
better-
goodwill,
Better friendships,
and number
will
4.
be beneficial to all
Beneficial
concerned.
to all concerned.
Okay, thank you all very much, and have a good week. And I will be checking emails, but I'm going to be in and out of town here for a little bit. So take care, everyone.
Right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.